I want to thank you for joining me for another thrilling installment of my life story. And I'm codifying these stories under the heading of Tell Me a Story by Brother Mike. And a lot of people are not going to like this, but I'm going to tell you why I can't stand the state of Indiana, okay? And it goes back a long ways. I'm going to just kind of go over it, a couple of reasons why. Well, many years ago, when I used to be a hitchhiker, I was hitchhiking through the state of Indiana, and I didn't have any water, and I was up on a highway in the blazing heat, and I noticed a little housing development down there, and I didn't think it would be a bad thing if I went down there and asked those folks for, maybe some water, Oh, I trot down the hill and, try to get myself spruced up enough so I'm not scaring people when they come to the door. And I knock on the door. Some kid comes to the door, okay? A little white kid, decent looking kid. And I says to him, could you do me a favor and ask your mother or your dad if I could possibly have a drink of water? And the kid turns around, and I couldn't believe what came out of his mouth. And I'll never forget it for as long as I live. He goes, "Ma, Dad, there's a nigger out here wants some water." I'm like, oh boy, He goes inside. I wait. He comes out with a glass of water, I didn't have the nerve to drink it. I was like, how do I know these people didn't piss in this water? Do something even worse than that in it, So I told him, well, no thanks, but if you don't mind, I'll just get the water off of the hose. There was a hose around the side of the house, And I got a drink off the side of the house, and from then on, whenever I needed a drink, and, I was at a strange place, I never asked anybody for water. After that, I always got it off of a hose or something, That's one story. Another story, when I was in the magazine business, I used to do door-to-door sales, and, we were passing through Indiana. And, well, what we used to do is we used to get, like, driver's licenses in every state where we could find one, And my manager took me over to the driver's license bureau in Indiana to apply for the license. I waited in line. I finally got up to the lady, and I starts talking to her, and she's being unresponsive, and she's like looking at me funny, and and I noticed her looking like beyond me, and so I turned around to see, what was behind me. It's my manager, And he steps up, and she looks at him, and she goes, "Is this your nigger?" And he goes, "Yeah." And she goes, "Well, you better teach this nigger how to talk to a white woman, And that's another reason why I can't stand Indiana, okay? I'm going to give you another reason why I can't stand it, another hitchhiking story. I was hitchhiking through Indiana, right? And I'm on the interstate, and I get up to the roadside rest area. I figure I'll go in there and freshen up, in the men's room. I go in there in the men's room, shut the door behind me, go into the stall, shut that door behind me. I sit down and ready to do my business, And I'm reading the graffiti on the walls, and y'all, as a hitchhiker, you never know where you are. But you can always tell a little bit about where you're at by the graffiti that you intercept, Well, this graffiti was like horrible. There was stuff on the wall like, if black is beautiful, a masterpiece. Everybody knows that one, And hey, do us a favor, when you leave here, kill a nigger, all this stuff. I'm like, damn, man, I can't wait to get out of here, I get out of there, go back out to the highway. Here comes the state police, They throw me off of the highway. State cop tells me, we don't allow hitchhiking on the interstate in Indiana, and I'm going to count backwards from 10 to 0. And if you're still here when I get to 0, I'm going to place you under arrest, And he starts counting 10, 9, and I'm like, hey man, what am I supposed to do? 8. I says, hey, 7. Where am I going? He stopped me. He's a little bit merciful. He goes, if you walk through these woods for about a mile, you'll come to a highway. 7. I'm like, hey, 6. I says, why don't you just shoot me and roll me in the ditch? Okay, off I go. into the woods. I hiked through these woods. Finally, I did. I get to a secondary road, you know, like a two-lane in the middle of nowhere. You know, cornfields on one side and woods on the other, you know. I'm standing there. I got people driving past me, you know. They're throwing beer bottles out the window. People are shouting at me, nigger, you know, all this. And I'm like, oh, my God, what have I got myself into, you know. But I really wasn't scared, you know what I mean? Because none of them stopped, you know. But one thing I noticed was like this black Chevelle kept going past me. And it was starting to get a little dark out, you know, night was falling. And I was like, I do not want to get caught in this boondock area of Indiana at night, you know. Chevelle goes past me again. You know, I'm like, what the hell is this all about, right? I see him go down the road, turn around, he comes back and he pulls over. Hey, do you need a ride? Two guys in there, you know. Not teenagers, you know, like 20-somethings, you know. I'm a 20-something at the time. I said, hey, what the heck, man? Might as well get in there. What's the worst thing that could happen to me? If I'm going to get killed out here over in the middle of the night, it'll, you know, might as well get killed right now. You know what I mean? So I jump in the car. They take off in this Chevelle, screeching tires. Down the highway we go. You know. Then we get to a road on the right-hand side. They slow down. It's a dirt road. They take the right on the dirt road. I'm like, oh man, what's going on here, you know? We get all the way down there and there's a railroad track. And paralleling the railroad track is another road, you know. It's like a little, you know, those kind of roads with the two ruts, you know, and the hump in the middle, you know what I mean? They take a left down there, you know, drive down there about a half mile, pull the car over. I'm like, oh shit, you know, here we go. No, they get out of the car, and I get out of the car. I lean up against the back fender. The driver comes walking up to me with his partner in tow. He's staring at me, you know. I'm staring back at him. And I'm like, I don't know what's on this guy's mind. I don't know what he's planning on doing, but I'm getting me a nice swift kick in the package. If he lifts one finger towards me, you know, he can beat me, they can beat me up, but I'm going to get me somebody in the course of this thing, you know? So he gets up a little closer to me until he's like, you know, that far away, you know what I mean? Well, that far away. And he looks at me and he goes, you smoke marijuana? And I'm like, yeah. He goes, well, let's get stoned. You know, he was testing me. Hey, man, I'm going to tell you, if I had flinched, I think I would have been a dead man. I really do. I think they would have killed me. You know what I mean? But I held it, you know. I mean, I waited for them to, you know, declare their intentions before I did anything. And he pulls out a bag of this, like, Triple Z Indiana ditchweed. All the stuff did was give me a headache, you know. But it was enough to break the ice, you know, and he's like, hey, you know, I used to be in the Army, and I knew this guy named Marcellus from New Jersey. You know, where are you from? I'm from Massachusetts. Oh, you are? Do you know Marcellus in New Jersey? It's weird, you know, they all think you know each other, you know what I mean? Nah, I can't say that I really know Marcellus, you know, but, hey, he's a great guy. You know, you look like a pretty good guy, too, you know what I mean? Hey, we smoke up a little bit more, you know, I get back in the car. Guy drives me 2 exits down to a ramp, an on-ramp, where I'm safe, there's lights, you know, I'm legal, and there's a good chance that I'm going to get a ride out of there, and even if I don't, nobody's going to kill me in front of the toll collector, you know? And so I really thank those guys. I really, you know, was happy with the way that came out, you know? I guess that might be one reason why I kind of like Indiana, is those people that can kill me, you know what I mean? But for the most part, and because of all those experiences, and not to mention that I worked Terre Haute, Indiana, door to door, where once a year back in the day, they used to have a Klan rally down Main Street, you know? I mean, it was like the Klan rally capital of Indiana, you know, and the people that I talked to, you know, a lot of them were racist, but I managed to find a way to make some money, you know, working there. I'd say to them as soon as I got to the door, hey, if you're racist, I don't want to talk to you. no, we're not racist, please come in. You know, then they find out you're selling magazines, they all buy magazines. You know what I mean? So I ended up making pretty good money in the town. But still, never got over that bad taste in my mouth, you know, from Indiana, you know? And I apologize to you folks in Indiana, and, you know, maybe I'm a little bit prejudiced, you know what I mean? You know, maybe these experiences that I had indelibly etched into me a disdain for Indiana that just won't go away, you know? If anybody can prove to me that, you know, things have changed, it's been quite some time, I'm sure things have changed, you know? Hey, let me know, but, you know, for right now, I would never like Indiana, and I'm sorry, that's just the way it is, you know? So I'm sorry to say that to you, but, you know, hey, that's one of the stories that came out of my past, and it just seemed like every time I got to Indiana, something negative happened to me. So, as a result, at this point in my life, I still don't like Indiana. Sorry. Thanks for listening. This is Brother Mike.